Hello, Pursuit young people and families. My name is Matt Toner, and it's my privilege to be able to share with you just a short message to encourage you this upcoming week. If you don't know me, I'm the father of Grace, Layla, Maggie, Selah, and Ruby, and husband of Casey. I get the opportunity to serve at the church on soundboard, so you might be see me in the back in the services, serving alongside the great production crew and the worship team. So it's a cool opportunity. Just thank Mickey for that, and it's such a unique time that we're in right now, right? It's nothing like any of us have ever gone through. I tell people I've got no frame of reference for what's happening. Every day seems like it's different, and it's certainly been challenging from a family front, from a work front. I'm the safety, health, and environmental manager up at the Stofers factory in Solon, and so we are an essential business. So we're running. We need to make food for the many people who are helping battle this, and the many people that are staying at home. So it's been a unique challenge there, and I've certainly wrestled a lot with how do I help keep people safe and healthy, not just physically but also mentally. And so my mind's been swirling with all these things. And as I was trying to think about what do I want to share with you as young people, and obviously moms and dads that may be watching as well, I was thinking, man, it's with the challenging time. How can I relate it perhaps back to something in the Bible that was similar? But before we get into that, my question to you is, how do you handle challenging times? What do you do? Who do you run to? What do you run to? There's a lot of counterfeits out there, right? There's a lot of deceitful things out there that the devil would have us go after. But in the end, those things bring forth death, right? And what we should be after, and what hopefully we are after, is life, and life more abundantly. And that's what Jesus brings us. So ask you to consider as we walk through these next few minutes, how are you handling this challenge? Are you handling the best way? And if not, no worries. We've got a God who is ever forgiving and ever loving, and wants to help us. So it's important in these challenging times that we have anchors that we do go to. Okay. And obviously, one of the big ones is the church family, right? Yeah, church family here at Western Reserve. That's how God established a local church, that we help encourage each other in these challenging times. And grateful for a church that has the technology to be able to do that, but certainly encourage you with phone calls, text, social media to be reaching out as well. But one of the beautiful things that God's given all of his people throughout time is his word. Way back in the beginning, he walked with Adam and Eve in the garden, right? He gave the 10 Commandments. We live on this side of the cross, and we have the Bible, and we really should be going to that. That should be our anchor. The Psalm says, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." And so let's have it enlighten us. And so that's why we're going to take a look at just a couple passages today, a couple stories. I try to relate to what's going on in my life to things that might have happened similarly in the Bible. And as I was thinking, what was a situation where there was a quarantine, or perhaps people were stuck in a place that they didn't want to, or maybe it was new or something like that. And God kind of led me to think about back the children of Israel, back when they were in Egypt, and they were slaves to the Egyptians, and the Egyptians had them building, the pyramids and doing all this forced labor. And God always takes care of his people, and so God raised up a leader to come, Moses and his right-hand man Aaron. They came to help lead Israel out, but the Pharaoh, the head of Egypt, was not going to take that real easy, and he said, "No, you can't go." And so, if you remember the story of the 10 plagues, God brought about plagues and pestilence on the land. So he turned the water into blood, brought gnats and flies and frogs and locusts and darkness, and killed some of the livestock. And just a significant challenge. Some of those plagues impacted Israel as well, but some of them didn't. And so God was showing his power and his might, but plague after plague after plague, Pharaoh's heart was hardened. And God was doing that hardening because he was about to show how great and sovereign that he was. But the part that's really beautiful, and it leads so well because we're heading into the Passion Week, is the time between the ninth and the 10th plague. So again, as you might know, the last plague is the 10th plague, the most severe, where ultimately Pharaoh did allow the children of Israel to go. But God did something very unique, and throughout the Old Testament, there were always shadows or types or markers that pointed to, hey, this is for now, but there's something coming that's greater. And it's all pointing to Jesus. And what God set up for the children of Israel really started what's called the Passover feast. And why it's called the Passover feast is very simply that the 10th plague was where an angel of death was going throughout the land, Egypt and Israel, and was going to kill the firstborn unless there was blood on the doorpost, blood from a firstborn lamb without blemish or spot. So God gave the Israelites very specific instructions, and the Passover had instructions for about 7 days where they ate certain things or didn't eat certain things. They stayed in their house. They had to eat these things fast. And they probably didn't understand necessarily what was going on. They had been under such oppression in Egypt. They were hopeful something would happen, but it had been so long. But God decided to work in this unique way, and He set a course of events that year after year after year, the Passover feast would happen. And it was amazing because God did take the firstborn life of everybody in Egypt. And the Israelites were spared. The death angel passed over them. And again, this was a sign pointing back to Christ. And it's just a reminder that God is sovereign over any ruler in this world. And we all know that we're not perfect. We know that the leaders are not perfect. So we yearn for a perfect ruler. And just to challenge you, we do have a perfect ruler who is on the throne. So trust in Him. So I think the Israelites knew a little bit about their routine getting disrupted. And it really God used that to challenge them to think about how He was going to protect them in those types of things. And this fits again really well as we head into the Passion Week. I think God uniquely sets up these reminders to help us remember that He loved us very much, and He sacrificed His very Son, and Jesus Christ was willing to come and give His life for lost people like you and me. And it's an amazing story. And my challenge to you this week is, again, as you're trying to figure out maybe the COVID-19 and all those challenges, you probably have some extra time on your hands. How are you going to use it heading into the Passion Week? Can you watch some Netflix shows and movies? Yeah, that'll likely happen. But I would encourage and challenge you, do something a little bit different this week. Spend some more time maybe reading the gospel accounts of Jesus's life and leading up to His death and then His resurrection. Spend some time understanding. Ask God to help enlighten you there. And one of the cool things that a great resource that you can use to help you do that, it's one thing to say, yeah, I'm going to spend some more time thinking about it, but we really need reminders. If you have that YouVersion app, there are a ton of plans that you can go to and look through. You can search for a plan. You can search for the Passion. You can search for the Cross. You can look under. There's different sections, and there's a youth section that's got a variety of great plans. But these are anywhere between 3 days all the way up to like 30-day plans that you can jump into that can help each day. You've got some content and that you can review, and it really is a great way to help prepare your mind and your heart for Good Friday, which is a very sobering time as the Son of God gave His life for us and for the world, and then also leading up into the resurrection, which is a time of rejoicing. And so my encouragement to you is find something concrete that you can do, and use that YouVersion app or any number of tools or things online that could help walk you through the Passion and those types of things. So we remember the Passion Week and what God has done for us. It should lead us to finally rejoice. And a story that always struck home to me back when I was younger, when I was probably a teenager or so, our pastor told us a story from 2 Kings chapter 6. And just to briefly summarize, a foreign king had come and besieged Samaria. So Samaria was a walled city. They besieged it. And when you besiege a city, you encamp your army around it so no food can get in, no people can get out to get food, and then you just wait. And so it's a very stressful time, inside the city. The army outside is well staffed. They can get supplies, they can get fed, and they just wait for basically the city or to surrender, and then they go in and take it. And so it was a very desperate time for the people of Samaria. But there was even a more desperate group of people that were just outside the walls. It was a leper colony, several people with leprosy, something even much more severe than the COVID-19 crisis that we face today. Leprosy, they're a very painful disease and one that was no cure, and so they couldn't treat them in the hospitals, and so they just sent them outside the city. So as a leper colony, they've got no food coming, right? So they're out of food. They got the army that they say, well, they're probably going to kill us. They can't go back into the city because they're leprous. And so they said, well, our best chance is to try to go to the army, see if they'll give us any scraps. What a predicament. Little did they know that God had confused that large army, and they had fled, and they left everything, equipment, food, all their riches, all their money left in the tents. And so these lepers went up to the tents, probably thinking, well, we're probably going to get killed, but we're so hungry it doesn't matter anyway. And they went to the first tent and nobody was there. Not a guard was walking. They went into the second tent, third tent, and there's food galore, and these guys were just ravenously hungry. And so they're chowing down, they're eating stuff. And probably after a couple minutes, they said to each other, you know what? What we're doing is not good. Our whole city is there, starving, hungry. Nobody's in this camp. We've got good news. We need to go share it with them. And our pastor challenged us. He said, sharing the good news is just one beggar telling another beggar where to get bread. And so my encouragement to you is, as you think about dealing with the COVID-19 and staying inside and maybe staying away from the things that we all miss and in these challenging times, let's use it to focus on who Jesus is and trust him. Think about the Passion Week, but let that spill over into sharing with somebody, sharing with others the good news about Jesus. I think God's doing an amazing work. It's probably a billion things he's doing, and we're aware of just a couple of them in this whole process. God's got a purpose. He's got a ton of purposes in what's going on. And so my encouragement and challenge to you is get a little closer to him this week. And then as you have opportunity, as you're rubbing shoulders with friends, maybe they're discouraged, tell them about the hope that you found in Jesus Christ, and just see how God might use that to help encourage somebody and maybe even lead somebody to Christ. Certainly appreciate the technology and the way that we can connect in this way, and just encourage you to reach out. Families, let's draw closer together, spend more time together. Church family, we got to connect in more unique ways, but I think together we will get through this. We will get stronger through this, and hopefully we'll rely more and more on our great God, who's sovereign over all things. So I wish you the best. Have a great Passion Week, and let's look forward to Resurrection Sunday, the culmination of why Jesus came. Take care.